What's up everybody, it is Josh from the Misplay channel, and today, as you guys can see, I've got my Unchained deck with me. Now, to preface, as the title says, it is a pure variant, so you're not going to see hand traps, you're not going to see Appaloosa Borrelsword, Access Code Talker in this extra deck. You're going to be seeing Unchained monsters and the best tech cards that I think go into a pure variant. So it's not going to top locals, it's not going to be winning any YCSs, anything like that. But someone that wants to play, casually competitive as a pure variant to try and get the best out of the in-archetype boss monster, or maybe just the engine, this is kind of the deck build for you. So let's get into it without wasting too much time. So because it is a pure variant, the extra deck is very, very straightforward. So we're going to start with that. So we have 3 copies of Unchained Abomination. We have 3 copies of Unchained Soul of Anguish, and we have 3 copies of Unchained Soul of Rage. Now, these, if you haven't played Unchained before, they're quite good, especially Unchained Abomination. So this one is actually a disruption in your opponent's main phase. It can quick effect link itself off and one of your opponent's special summon monsters to essentially just go into Unchained Soul of Anguish. Anguish in your main phase, you can then link it off in one of your opponent's monsters to essentially go into Unchained Abomination. Abomination is essentially just a semi-board wipe. This is just very, very strong. 3k, hard to beat over. If the card's destroyed, it'll destroy another during the end phase, it'll destroy another. Very, very powerful. It's only 2+ monsters for a link 4, so this is very easy to get into. So these are the boss monsters, but you don't really need to play it as a boss monster. The main deck does have quite a good engine, in all honesty. Very rarely do I actually go into these unless I'm really trying to push for games. So that's essentially what the extra deck does. So quick effect to link off in your opponent's turn. Your main phase you can link off, and then this one is just going to try and clear for game. So Unchained Abomination is very, very strong. Now the main deck is also a bit basic, but I do think I have some fun tech cards in here. So to start off, we have 3 copies of Unchained Twins Sarama. Sarama is I personally believe one of the best main deck monsters in the archetype. Essentially what this allows you to do is to target a Unchained card in the graveyard, set it, then destroy a card you control. So this allows to actually go off for a lot of combo potential off Sarama and actually get you important cards from your graveyard back to your spell and trap zone if needed, or a monster to special summon one from the deck. So that's her unique effect in terms of monster. She's very, very good. Obviously, if you've not played Unchained before, all the level 4 monsters in the Unchained archetype, if they're destroyed by battle or card effect, they can special summon another Unchained monster from the deck. So she has the same effect, but her unique effect is to set an Unchained card and then destroy one you control. So she's definitely a 3-of because she has so much combo potential and can actually keep you going if the duel is dragging on a little bit long. Next is a playset of Unchained Twins Reikia. Reikia is very good because as a quick effect, it can target a card you control and destroy it. So if you're, for example, your spells and traps in the archetype, if they are destroyed while they're set, say by an opponent's card effect, they can essentially special summon a monster from the deck. If your opponent's not, falling for the bait, you can just pop them with Reikia. So Reikia, kind of like Sarama, is also a combo starter, but in a different way. So I really like Reikia. Quick effect to just destroy one and plus off of it is really, really good. So definitely a 3-of in my opinion. Next, we have 3 copies of Unchained Twins Aruha. Aruha can special summon itself by targeting and destroying a card you control. So generally that's going to be one of your set Unchained spell or traps. You can do a monster, but generally you're going to have to use a normal summon to get that out. And normal summons are quite important in today's Yu-Gi-Oh game. So generally it's going to be an Unchained spell or trap. So this will destroy it, this will special summon itself, and then the card that it destroys will most likely be able to special summon another Unchained Twin monster from the deck. So this is also very, very good because this is something I actually do want to see in the hand pretty much all the time, because you can essentially special summon it and special summon another if you hit the right card. So very, very good. So those are the, well, sorry, I did mention before, these aren't level 4s, they're all level 3s. I don't know why I said level 4 before. Next, so that's all the level 3s. We have 3 copies of Unchained Soul of Disaster. This is similar to Unchained Soul of Anguish. Unchained Soul of Anguish allows you to link off with itself and your opponent's monster. This will do the same thing in your turn. So essentially, you know, if you destroy any of your monsters, Unchained Twin monsters, and need to special summon one and you want to try and clear board in a non-destructive way, you can special summon out Unchained Soul of Disaster and that can just essentially link off for you. So this can also get beefy. Will gain attack depending on the number of Unchained cards in the graveyard. I'm not going to go through the entire archetype, but I definitely think this is a 3 of, because it is an Unchained Soul monster, and your extra deck does need at least 1 Unchained Soul monster for each of the link monsters. So it is important, but the fact that it can link itself off using one of your opponent's monsters is very, very strong. So I personally think this is a 3 of. The last monster in the archetype, and I know it is just 3 of every monster, but I generally think you need all 3 to make the engine run in a pure competitive variant. So Abominable Unchained Soul is very, very good. Doesn't do anything, actually nothing like this. He is an Unchained Soul, so you use him to go into your link monsters. But if a card you control is destroyed, you can special summon him from the hand. And if so, you can discard a card and destroy a card on the field. So not only is this an interruption, it's actually an additional way to just get another monster on the field, because you're a lot of the time going to be destroying your own things anyway. So Abominable Unchained Soul is another card that you want to see in the hand. There's so many in terms of monsters in the Unchained archetype that you actually want to see in the hand. Very rarely do I come across a pure variant of an archetype and think, yes, I want to run every monster in the archetype. This is one of the rare instances where I really do like all of the monsters. They have their own variations of play, but it's not niche enough to where you only have to run them at 1. I do think you can run all of these at 3 if you're just wanting a pure, casually competitive variant like this one. So that is it for the monsters. Now we're going to go into the spells. So we run 3 copies of Abominations Prison. This is single-handedly just the searcher. This absolutely has to be a 3 of. It's just going to search an Unchained card from deck to hand. But if it is set and destroyed, you can also special summon an Unchained monster from the deck. So if you open 2 of them, it's not a brick, you can definitely activate it, search the card you need, and then set this and destroy it with Aruha, for example, to then special summon itself and another from the deck. So this is definitely a 3 of. Any search card which is no cost is very, very powerful. Just bear in mind, Abominations Prison doesn't list Unchained in the in its name at all. So card like Surama that'll target an Unchained card in the graveyard to set it on the field, you can't target this card. So just bear that in mind, but that's not a drawback at all. You definitely want to play this at a 3 of. Any free search card is a 3 of in any archetype. Next, we're running 3 copies of Wailing of the Unchained Souls. This is very good. This is actually probably the first card where you can kind of run this at 2. I would say maybe even 1, depending on what kind of build you're going for. Essentially, if you link summon, you can destroy a card on the field. Very, very powerful. Has the same effect where if it's set and destroyed, you can special summon an Unchained monster from the deck, same as all the Unchained spell and traps, including Abominations Prison. So you can still set it and target it, destroy it, special summon from the deck. But if you're definitely wanting to go more into the link plays for the extra deck, because they're all link monsters, this can definitely start off a chain, especially if you're going into Unchained Abomination, link this, destroy that, because something's been destroyed, you get to destroy a card on the field. So this is very good, but if you're not wanting to do too heavily into the extra deck and more into the main deck monsters, because they absolutely work themselves, you can definitely cut this to 2, maybe 1, but because of its floating effect, if it's destroyed while set, I like to run it at 3 because it just helps the deck be that little bit extra consistent. So, here comes the first real tech card in the deck. We run 2 copies of kolkazone and a terraforming, just to help mill the deck a little bit. kolkazone is a very powerful card in this deck. So, what kolkazone does is the first time the turn player would summon a monster, destroy it, and summon a token in its place with the same level attack, attribute, everything like that. Now, the reason why this is good is because if we summon, say for example, we summon Sarama, it'll immediately get destroyed by a kolkazone, which would give us a token, but would also allow us to special summon a monster from the deck, and it could be the one that we actually want. So a lot of the times, if you're wanting to play more of a link variant, utilizing the extra deck a bit more than just the main deck, you can summon Sarama, it'll be destroyed by a kolkazone, you'll get a token in its place, and then you can summon one of the Unchained soul monsters, for example, Unchained Soul of Disaster. And now you've got a token and an Unchained Soul monster you can then link into Unchained Soul of Rage. Very, very powerful card, because off a summon you can essentially get 2 monsters. But it's also an interruption, obviously, in your opponent's turn. The first monster they would summon in their turn would get destroyed. Not every deck is going to be hindered greatly by kolkazone, but the fact that it's essentially a guaranteed plus for us, off a summon we can get 2, is very, very powerful. So I don't think running 3 is the go. I definitely think 2 kolkazones and 1 terraforming is the sweet spot, because if you've got one, you don't want to draw into 2 more. That's why I run a terraforming, to just mill this out when I need it, and makes the deck a little bit smaller. So kolkazone, very, very good for this archetype, because we actually do want a lot of our main deck monsters destroyed. Next, this actually is great if you're wanting to go more into the link variant, which I do like to do, is Fiends Sanctuary. Run 3 copies. These extra deck monsters here are quite generic. They just require 1 Unchained Soul monster. The rest are just generic materials. So this, there are some monsters in the main deck that lock you into Fiend monsters after their effect goes off. I think Aruha is one of them. So Fiend Sanctuary, obviously summoning a Fiend token, we are good to go. We're not hindered by it at all. So essentially what we can do is just keep playing and linking and higher, and this card allows us a lot easier to go into Unchained Abomination, and allows us to play through some more interruptions, especially if we're going second. This archetype definitely allows us to excel at going first, and we can definitely excel going second depending on our opponent's board. Fiend Sanctuary is definitely one of them, just being a free body on the field, especially with kolkazone as well, us plussing off of that. So it's just a free monster on board that we can use to essentially just extend it to link plays. So what we're doing now is 1 copy of Supply Squad. Supply Squad is a bit of a meme card, but because we're destroying all of our cards constantly and the deck does lack draw power, Supply Squad is actually a really good card in this archetype. It's the first archetype I've ran that actually benefits from Supply Squad. Run 1 copy of Pot of Avarice, because we're constantly going through our monsters and we actually do need to special summon from the deck. 1 Pot of Avarice is great at recycling monsters into the main deck and allowing us to draw 2, because like I said before, we lack draw power. And then 2 copies of Twin Twisters. It can actually help us. We want to destroy our back row sometimes, so we can destroy our opponents and we can destroy our own. So these you can definitely tech out for hand traps, Ash Blossoms, Nibiru's, whatever you want. But as a pure casual variant, I definitely think these are, one of, and Twin Twisters is always a good thing. I definitely don't advise running Twin Twisters at 3. There are no decks that are that back row heavy. So that's the spells for the deck. Now for the traps, finishing it off, we run 3 copies of Escape of the Unchained. This just allows us to a disruption. Destroy 1 card we control, destroy 1 card our opponent controls, and then we generally plus off the card that we destroy on our side of the field. But same set effect, if it's destroyed while it's set, whether it's from us or our opponent, we can special summon it from the deck. So this is one, Aruha can target, Reikia can target, Sarama can target it in the graveyard to set it and destroy it, and immediately special summon from the deck. Abominable Chamber of the Unchained. This is essentially our Call of the Haunted. Well, not so much, it's not a continuous, but it's just a monster reborn, but as a trap. But the same set effect, if it's destroyed while set, special summon an Unchained monster from the deck. So once again, another target for Reikia, another target for Aruha, and Sarama in the graveyard. So that's very, very good. And then to round it out, 3 copies of Solemn Strike, in my opinion, the best Solemn in the game. We don't have too many ways to stop our opponent from, making a particular boss monster, or we need to stop a particular effect. We actually, in our entire main deck, we don't have any way to stop a monster effect. So Solemn Strike, I think, is definitely a must as a 3 for this archetype, especially if you're playing it pure competitive, or casually competitive, I guess I should say. But these tend to be safe, because if our opponent knows we're playing Unchained and more of a pure variant, they're less likely to hit our back row, which means our Solemns are going to be safer. You can definitely run more trap variants if you want to run, more of a trap heavy build for Unchained. So there's a lot at your disposal. It's a very unique archetype. A lot of this is just 3 of each monster in the archetype. But I definitely do feel cards like Fiend Sanctuary, cards like kolkazone especially, feels like a pseudo Unchained card because you can plus off it so damn easily. And then we can make use of cards like Supply Squad. So, like I said, it's not a crazy build, but if you've seen our deck builds, if you've seen our live duels, this is kind of a decent deck. Right now, it's one that's hard to beat. Once it starts going, it's very, very hard to stop because it just keeps floating into another. This card can disrupt. We have cards in here like Unchained Soul of Rage that can quick effect link off using our opponent's monsters. That's 2 interruptions right there. If we have that trap card that I spoke about before, that's another interruption there, which we can also plus off of. So it's a bit of an underrated archetype. And I think you can get lots and lots of fun from this. So that's about it for this one. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Leave us a comment if you'd like to see one. We do have Phantom Knights on the way. We've got a bunch of decks on the way. I will be doing Exosister and Dynamorphia very, very soon. I'm just waiting on some cards to arrive. But that is this build. Leave a like, leave a thumbs up, leave whatever you'd like. Any kind of comment, hate mail, I don't care. Yeah, hopefully guys, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.